Yes, that was the statement headline win of the opening weekend. Hull City back in the Premier League, beating Manchester United. Michael Carrick's first game of his first full season in charge. We're going to have a look at some figures and some tactics in a moment. But overall, to the naked eye, Gary, why did Hull win that game?
Desire, probably atmosphere, buzz of the first game, and being ruthless. And it seems like that's the way that they've been playing even last season. In terms of, we just take this on, isolate this game, in terms of possession, they're not too fussed about having possession. You know, it's more about what they can do when they get opportunities, and they took their couple of opportunities that they got from some poor defending from Manchester United, to be honest. But, yeah, what a start for Hull in this league.
It is. Manchester United, 72% possession, 21 shots, Michael, 6 corners, 40 touches in the box. But even in the second half, rarely threatened. Why?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you cover the 2 and the 0 and just looked at the stats, you would think, well, you'd be expecting a Manchester United win from this game. But as Gary touched on, this is the way they do it. They did it all last season in the Championship. They're always low on possession, but they're ruthless when they get in front of goal. And, of course, it was 2 set pieces that did the damage. Manchester United, tactically, I think they were surprised by what Hull did. But I also don't think there was the urgency of the first game. It can be like that. We saw 2 or 3 teams at the weekend. They look leggy, even though it's the first game. They look as if they're not right up to speed yet. And I just thought it was a really poor start from Manchester United. But Hull helped them along the way. I mean, they made it difficult for them.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier, Gary, how they don't normally not bothered about having possession. Actually, when you look at the Championship last season, this is quite incredible. Look at the numbers. Look at the ranking here. 19
incredible,
in terms of possession, to finish 7th and get promoted. And the shots as well.
Yeah.
But it's a formula.
How have they done it? When you look at it like that, you scratch your head, don't you? But listen, they must be efficient. One of the things that you need to be efficient at, and I'm sure is going to be one of their strengths in this league, is set pieces. And that's how they got the joy at the weekend. But, yeah, like we said, what a start. But that is surprising. When I saw that, I was very surprised. But that's the way they do it.
What was also very interesting was a little bit of insight from the assistant manager after the game, Dean Holden, who said that throughout pre-season, Hull had been playing with a back 4, but they always had in their mind, through the manager, Jakiewicz, to play a back 3. Didn't give that away in pre-season because they'd watched the last 2 games against Leeds and AC Milan of Manchester United's pre-season and saw the space and the struggles they'd had against wing-backs.
Yeah, exactly. Very clever thing to do, as I touched on before. Tactically, they did outdo Manchester United. And just before we have a look at their formation and their system, Gary, what did you consider, and what do you consider the difference between a back 3 and a back 4? What advantages does it give a team, let's say, especially in, you know, as we can see here, we've got the back 3, we got 2 wing backs here. It's almost a 3-4-3 in possession here.
Yeah, well, I think there's 2 phases. I think offensively it gives you obviously the wing backs. If you play them high and wide, it almost pins back the full-backs from Manchester United in an offensive point of view. And defensively, if you can get into that shape in terms of a back 5 quickly, it limits the spaces. There's not very many spaces. It kind of leads the opposition to go wide. And you've also got bodies in the box. You know, when the ball does come in, you've got a numerical advantage to defend the area. So you need to get into the defensive setup as quick as you possibly can. But offensively, like I said, it asks questions of the full-backs from Manchester United.
It does, as we can see here. I mean, the 2 wide players really pinning the full-back. So Manchester United have got nowhere to go, bar having a back 4. And once they get control possession, these wing-backs were really pushing on high and wide. It was when they lost possession, they got back into the back 5. So let's just have a look at a couple of these clips. As we see, the back 3 trying to play to the wing-backs. And they weren't scared to go direct. And once they got possession as well, out wide, these wing-backs, as we can see in possession here, out wide, and they cross the ball at every single opportunity. You see how quickly they go from back to front here, Steve. And it really caused Manchester United problems all day. As you can see in this situation, the whole pitch is, well, the whole team are on here, and you can see the wing-back, the space that the wing-backs have got, and any opportunity, they try to get it out there. OK, the first one didn't work, but then what? Look at this. Tenacious, winning the second balls, another opportunity to go out wide, and they do that. That was probably a cross, but it nearly went in the end. So that was when they had the ball. When they didn't have the ball, as Gary said, when you've got numbers back, you can afford to be aggressive as well, can't you?
That's what I'm going to say. If you go back to that last bit there, where obviously the centre-back...
Let's have a look.
Here we go, in this frame. He's able to be aggressive, he's able to be on the front foot. Why? Because he's got his full-back and he's got the other centre-back that can tuck in behind. So they can cover them spaces and allows one of the defenders to go out and be really aggressive, which we're seeing there.
And, of course, when the ball does go wide, they've got all the bodies in the midfield, in the middle of the goal as well, to defend any form of crosses.
Again, you're talking about numerical advantage. You know, you're looking as it building up here, 3v2 in the box, covering spaces. The first defender's on the front post and clears that away. Obviously, the lack of quality in terms of the crossing, but they're there to cover the area.
Yeah, I think from a formation, we can talk about Manchester United not having the energy or not the ability or whatever, but I think the formation really did confuse and prevent Manchester United, Steve, from doing much. And we see here again, when they get the ball, they don't have much possession, but when they get it, they're very, very direct, counter-attacking, set pieces, and making it life difficult for Manchester United when they get the ball.
I think what they did very well as well is, it's all right saying you're in that shape of a back five. It's obviously a very defensive shape. Once you win the ball over, run forward at speed. And that's exactly what Hull did. You see that time and time again. Even on that last frame, then they win the ball, and it's about how hungry are you to break forward, to drive forward, to make the box. I thought McBurney was a handful in the game, but so as much as you're in that defensive structure, it's important that you can release as soon as you win the ball.
You mentioned the set pieces then and the 2 goals. If you were in the United back 4, what would you be thinking looking back at these?
Disappointed for sure. Obviously set pieces are important, we all know that, and defensively Manchester United just wasn't at it. We see here with this goal, the ball comes in. You've obviously got responsibilities. You see Harry Maguire here. I'm not quite sure what happened with that. He's almost marking Mbeumo there.
He's grabbing Mbeumo.
Yeah.
Have a look at that.
Yeah.
Did you see? It's incredible, isn't it? It's almost like he thinks it's his own... it's an opposition player, but he grabs Mbeumo here. He's not letting him go. He might have been able to clear that.
Whether he's confused, whether he thinks it's obviously a whole player, but even on the first phase, it's so important. The detail's so important. If you run it on now, you see your man-to-man here, your man-to-man here, and he just gets the wrong side.
Yeah.
And it's all about that first contact, and the first contact, obviously, it was saved onto the post, and it's an easy finish in the end, but the first contact is so important, and he got the wrong side.
Queuing up to score. And again, they lose their man here, Gary. I mean, free kicks, corners, would you be man-to-man, zonal? What would you favour?
No, I think on the free kicks, if you pause it here, sorry, on the free kicks you would be zonal. It's important that you get against your men, but at the same time you need to be brave, you need to hold a line together. And sometimes where the confusion comes is the dummy. So again, sorry, if you play that forward,
yeah.
As soon as he runs over the ball, if you pause it once he's run over, there, you're going to have to drop maybe a yard, but it's so important, again, the detail and drilling this in training, that the yard is a yard and the yard is all together. In this instance, it's not all together. So the dummy has created all this space here, which ultimately you get punished. So it's a great set piece in terms of Hull's position, but from Manchester United, you cannot have this.
Yeah.
It's fractured now, and there's spaces everywhere, and you get punished.
One person almost... I mean, if Luke Shaw had held his line and was brave enough, then there would have been an offside flag here.
Yeah, but you have to move, because obviously when the first man runs over it, you don't know if he's going to run over it or if he's going to cross it. So you're going to probably take that yard, but you have to take that yard all together. That means there's leaders in there to say a yard, and you're all together, and then the next one, when the ball comes in, you'll go again. Right. But you have to be in a line. If it's fractured like that, you get punished.
Just to round up, and we know Michael Carrick well, he was quite calm afterwards. He was keen to point out it's only one game. It was away at a newly promoted club. We'll regroup. Any real area for concern, or is it just a bad day at the office and move on?
Well, definitely concern, yeah. I mean, losing to a newly promoted team who everybody thinks are going to go straight back down, you know, after the season they had last season. Yeah, I think Manchester United, I think it's sort of took the wind out of their sails in a certain way. So, yeah, a little bit of concern, but nothing too bad. They can get back on the, on the bike and go on a good run. He's done it before. So I think we'll judge every team really after half a dozen games. But yeah, you always want to do well, don't you? The first game of the season, you want to do well, want to get the momentum going. So a little bit of, as I say, a little bit of wind out of his sails, but they'll be back.
Lemley's got a bit of confidence in certain aspects. He spoke about obviously the way they started the game. But for me, I thought the build-up was just wrong. Do you know, the way that they built up, I thought the gap between the two centre-halves leaves you open. And like we said before, if you give the ball away in them situations, you get punished. And that's what happens. But like I said, you know, his new signings got off to a decent start. Josh King looked sharp. So there's some positives, but also some negatives in terms of, like he just said, that the timings of, especially the goals he conceded, need to be harder to score against.
He says it's going to take time. The issue, of course, is if in that time he doesn't get any results, then the pressure's going to build immediately, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It will and it can. But if that's a reflection of what's going to happen this season, then I think they could actually be all right. I was sceptical at the start, but that was a positive performance. And of course, the one thing that sinks a team, if they struggle to score, if they don't create much, you know, it's very, very hard to keep a clean sheet in the Premier League. You have to be scoring goals. And, you know, today their shot count was quite incredible. They scored a couple of goals against a good team. So if they keep attacking like that, of course, one or two of their players are off the mark already, and they need that in the new league. And we were concerned before the game. You know, their two most potent players last season have now left. But they look like they were creating there. They look like there's a good spirit amongst them. And as I say, if that continues, then that will stand them in good stead. They're not going to play a team of Chelsea's quality that can pick open a defence at will every single week. So positive signs. If I was Arbeloa there, I would be positive in the dressing room. You know, try to keep that good feeling about the place and focus on those positives. But obviously a lot to work on. I mean, as Gary says, you know, defensively there was a couple of real horrors. I'm not sure they're good enough at the back to actually be playing so expansive and so open. You know, they're not amazing on the ball at the back, but I'm sure they'll learn throughout the season. But as I say, the most important thing is they look like they can score goals, and that could hold them in good stead.
And in terms of Chelsea, as you said right at the top of the show, and you have experience of this, not being in Europe, with someone like Xavi Alonso, time on the grass, you would expect that improvement to be a little bit quicker.
Yes, you would. Yeah, 100%. Because of what we said, you know, in terms of the tactics he can get across, in terms of having the personnel on the pitch all the time. There isn't players that are resting from obviously playing the midweek games. So that's going to be vital in terms of conditioning and all the things that go around that. It's going to be vital for him, especially like we said earlier, with him being a new manager, to get that message across and the way that he wants to play. But we saw a lot of positives, like I said today, especially in the creativity side of it. And 3 points is 3 points, off we go.